A very warm welcome to the first episode of The American Side. I'm Maheen Mustafa.
The American Side.
The American Side.
Zohran Mamdani. Political performer. Or Gen Z powerhouse.
The American Side.
He's been called a radical lefty, a communist lunatic, even a jihadist. His enemies are an army of Modi supporters both in India and United States. They're these real estate tycoons in New York that are forming super PACs and raising money in attack funds to defeat this guy. But with that, he's got fans. Jewish voters are backing Mamdani, and many agree with him on his stance on Gaza. People love him for his charisma. His digital game is strong.
I'm Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, and I'm running for mayor to freeze the rent for every rent-stabilized tenant.
A rapper turned assemblyman turned viral political phenomenon. The 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani went from knocking doors in Queens, which is a borough in New York, to making headlines around the globe. The memes are catchy, and the message even more. He won in large margins in sizable South Asian neighborhoods and populations, and he captured 52% of all first-choice votes in a majority Asian neighborhood. He envisions a New York that's attainable and affordable for all. A vision that strikes a very deep chord with countless New Yorkers who've been priced out from the very city they once called home. But besides the social media buzz and headlines, who is Zohran Mamdani really? Is he just a political performer that's just riding the progressive hype? Or is he a real change maker that the city has been waiting for? Well, let's find out.
Who is Zohran Mamdani? Let the question ring. From the Bronx High School to the song he'd sing. Who is Zohran Mamdani?
So let's go back in time a little bit. Zohran was born in Kampala, Uganda. At age 5, he moved to Cape Town in South Africa. And at age 7, to New York. He was raised in Queens by a legendary filmmaker mom, Meera Nair, and a very renowned scholarly dad, Mahmood Mamdani. Smart, very. He went to Bronx Science and then later to Bowdoin College where he studied Africana Studies. He became a citizen of the United States in 2018. His identity, which is a mix of Muslim, South Asian, and African, is his power, but also a political flashpoint. A pain point, perhaps. In 2025 mayoral primary, he shook the system. What happened? Well, more than 50,000 volunteers showed up. More than 1.6 million doors were knocked. And an unprecedented amount of voter turnout, especially among youth. In some immigrant neighborhoods, the figures doubled. Mamdani drew significant support from first-time voters. He expanded the electorate, particularly in Astoria, Greenpoint, Bushwick. Turnout went up to 2 to 3 times in some neighborhoods compared to 2021. He also made very surprising inroads with not just the white Brooklyn neighborhoods, but also the Hispanic and Asian ones. It was a true grassroots insurgency, deeply tied to rental struggles, to demographic shifts, to linguistic outreach, and digital-first storytelling.
New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Now you're in New York. These streets will make you feel brand new.
They called it a youth revolution. He met Gen Z where they were. Pink posters, TikTok thirst traps, memes, you name it.
I'm freezing your rent as the next mayor of New York City.
And this wasn't just a stunt. If you look at the Rent Freeze video, it was symbolic. It was performance with purpose. But one would wonder, would this momentum continue to November 4th when the mayoral elections happen? So what was Mamdani doing before politics? Well, Zohran was on the mic. His rapper name was Young Cardamom, and he was collaborating with Ugandan artists. He even released a rap video featuring his grandmother. The title of the music video was Nani. He also got Screen Guild Award nomination in a film that he did with his mom. So he's not really new to the spotlight. So what's his political agenda? Well, his economics is called Zohranomics. Some say it's dreamy, others say it's revolutionary. So what is it? Rent freeze for 1 million units, free city buses, public childcare, city-owned grocery stores and food deserts, and $30 minimum wage by 2030. And yes, he wants to tax the rich to do it. He's often seen quoting Dr. Martin Luther King. Call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within this country for all of God's children. As an assembly member since 2021, he sponsored 20 bills, out of which 3 became law. He helped secure over $100 million in funds for subway improvements and supported a fare-free bus pilot, while never missing a session in Albany, in New York, in 2025. Mamdani was recognized for helping deliver a total of $450 million in medallion debt relief for New York taxi drivers in 2025. The legislative outcome cemented his reputation as an advocate for immigrant, renter, and working-class communities. But here's where it gets complicated. His 3 weddings in New York, Dubai, and Uganda lit up the internet, and not in the best of ways. Critics called it hypocritical, a socialist with a high-security extravagant wedding bash during national mourning in Uganda. The optics were jarring, and the critics pounced. And then came the DEI controversy. DEI standing for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. What happened? Well, a New York Times article said Zohran identified as both African American and Asian on college apps. Some called it fraud, accusing him of leveraging affirmative action enrollment benefit. Others said identity isn't always neat and binary. Zohran defended himself, saying his lived reality spans multiple cultures. He's also seen being targeted by the right-wing media, accused of anti-Israel rhetoric. Trump even suggested deporting him and stripping off his citizenship.
A lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything. And ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist. But right now, he's a communist. That's not a socialist.
In the United States, the Indian American groups, some with direct ties to Mr. Modi and his governing Bharatiya Janata Party, are taking a more subtle approach, raising money for Mr. Mamdani's opponents. But despite such attacks, Mamdani has found some passionate support from many South Asians living in New York. Younger, working-class Muslim and liberal South Asians, including Hindus, are energized by the possibility that New York could have its first South Asian mayor, even if some Indian Americans think his views are anti-Hindu. But here's the thing. While mainstream media clutched its pearls, the young people showed up. They didn't just tweet, they organized and mobilized. They punched the voting cards. They did look-alike contests. They made elections fun again. But will Gen Z be enough to win a city run by boomers? When NYPD officer Didarul Islam was fatally shot in a mass shooting in Midtown Manhattan, all eyes were on Mamdani. His past support for defund the police resurfaced like wildfire. Critics pounced. In a sharp pivot from his 2020 call to defund the NYPD, made in the wake of George Floyd's murder, Zohran Mamdani now has changed his stance. He now says, "I'm not defunding the police. I'm not running to defund the police." He told reporters, "I've been very clear about my views of public safety and the critical role that the police have been creating in that public safety." Zohran is doubling down on stricter gun control laws as a cornerstone of his public safety platform. Mamdani proposes maintaining NYPD's headcount while slashing its overtime budget. He envisions a bolstered approach, pairing law enforcement with social services, including mental health professionals and violence interruption programs. He also visited the family of the slain NYPD officer Didarul Islam in the Bronx immediately after returning from his trip to Uganda. He spent nearly 2 hours with the family, arriving with flowers and attending the funeral. This was a very pivotal moment in New York. It was raw and emotional. It really could define Zohran Mamdani's campaign and where he really stands, particularly on his stance on defund the police. So what's the key takeaway? Love him or loathe him, Zohran is redefining what political power looks like. He's a political disruptor who's demanding affordability, justice, and doing it on his own terms, while unapologetically identifying himself as a Muslim. The Democrats have endorsed him, like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, but there's some prominent ones that still need to add on, like Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and several others that are hesitant in endorsing him due to his anti-Israel rhetoric and socialist policies. Zohran Mamdani's uncanny presence on social media, his accessibility to the people who voted for him, to the general population, has been really remarkable to watch. So who is Zohran Mamdani? Is he a changemaker with a vision or something even more complicated? That's all for now. You've been tuned in to The American Side, and I'm Maheen Mustafa. Until next time.